few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Welcome into The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wait a minute. You're not DP.
No, it's changed up here today. DP, unfortunately, he's out sick, so hopefully he gets better. But it's going to be me and Haas today, and we're going to kind of go anywhere we want with it. You gave me a schedule that I'm pulling up right now, or a list of things to talk about.
Nice.
But
we'll make it easy, Harrison, since you're obviously in Lincoln. Like, the cool thing from yesterday, Nebraska had an awesome win on its bye week.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's do a math problem real quick. I was a math teacher, so let's just do a math problem. So
Go
Trey Palmer, he was a 5-star recruit out of high school that came from LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then we have Malachi Coleman, who is a top recruit that will play which position?
He's going for a receiver.
That's right. And is there anyone coaching at Nebraska that specializes in wide receiver and was involved with LSU?
I'd probably say it's the guy who's been the best at recruiting so far, and that's going to be Mickey Joseph.
So there you go. So Trey Palmer plus Malachi Coleman equals the Mickey Joseph effect. Got it. So pretty cool.
You're absolutely right. We can kind of get into this however you want, but the more Mickey Joseph does, I don't know if you've seen his recruiting trail he's been on, but the dude's been everywhere. I mean, maybe for his standard, that's not, that's not anything weird. But if you're comparing him to other coaches, what he is doing on this recruiting trail, he is doing absolutely everything he needs to do to get ready for upcoming seasons if he can keep this job.
I mean, how does he not? If they go 6-6, he had a couple weeks with the team. He was just thrown into the fire, and if they could be near the top in the West, how does he not keep the job?
That's where I'm at. I mean, that game against Purdue, I know it was exciting for us to watch, but I mean, if we're going to be honest here, the only way we stayed in that game was the threats that Mickey Joseph brought in. Trey Palmer had over 200, I think it was 217 receiving yards. There was no way we should have been in that game. The only thing that worked for us was no one could do a damn thing about Trey Palmer running out there. For some reason, they tried going zone for a long time, which is giving them a lot of problems. And then when they switched up to man, really wasn't any better. I mean, he was just cooking everyone. But you look at the O-line play, you take away Trey Palmer's rushing. I think he rushed for 60 yards in one play. You take away those 60 yards, I think we're around 30 yards rushing on the ground. Pass protection wasn't great. That was the only thing that was working for us. So for that to even be a game, I mean, that's just hats off to Mickey understanding what he has. But that's going to be still continue to be the problem for recruiting is we have to start seeing some O-line and D-line as well. But the skill guys, I mean, Mickey's killing it on that for sure.
Well, let's look at it a different way. I know in his contract he's supposed to stay no matter what. But what if he's not the head coach? What's going to happen to Palmer and Malachi? Do you want to take that risk?
That's just it. Like, he is definitely the reason the best players we have on the team right now are pretty much directly related to him. Now, if you keep him in the mix, do those guys still want to stay if he's just the wide receiver coach? Maybe. But if he's the head coach, I mean, he has a lot more leverage, I'll say, in recruiting and keeping those guys in Lincoln.
I love it. Well, it's a bye week, but I was pretty excited to see that win, and just with a lot of weapons on offense. It's Nebraska football. It's not the Tom Osborne days of the triple option and all that, but hey, now they have some studs at wide receiver, and just for me, we could transition to the game of the week last week, that Bills the Chiefs. The 24-20 win by the Bills, which I was really happy, since that was my Hoss Boss guarantee of the week. And I'm getting texts afterwards like, why would you pick that as your Hoss Boss guarantee? Like that's like as hard of a pick as you could do. Well, interestingly enough, last week there's so many upsets. It was probably the right thing to do, because there's the chaos of last week. It was crazy in the NFL.
Yeah, and that, like you said, that Bills Chiefs game, we are absolutely blessed. It doesn't happen often. Obviously, you have great teams every year that come up, but do you have a team in the Bills and the Chiefs, you know, both over in the West that are both have quarterbacks that are in their prime? You know, it's not like you have one guy that's 32 coming out of his prime and one guy that's young coming into his prime. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are both at the prime, and their timelines are tied like perfectly. So we're going to be spoiled, and we're going to watch that matchup year after year after year until those guys are too old to play anymore. I mean, that's how good they are. It's insane to think about.
Spot on, man. Harrison, when the first half, I thought the Bills they scored too quickly. Clearly, they left 12 seconds on the clock, and they still allowed Mahomes with his one timeout to go and kick the field goal with Butker for 62 yards. It was deja vu of the playoff game, and
really was.
It was really cool watching the fourth quarter and having the Bills score that touchdown to go up 24-20. And I texted DP, I'm like, man, they scored way too early with the minute 12 left, or it was a minute 4 left. And Mahomes with 2 timeouts, just minute 4. I thought there was going to be a couple more touchdowns back and forth, just like the playoff game. But it just shows the defense that the Bills have now. It's the Von Miller effect. Just adding Von Miller allows everyone else to get after the quarterback and allows the team with the most takeaways in the NFL to go and do their thing. And to get 2 interceptions off Mahomes, man, the Bills are legit.
Yeah, and you nailed it with Von Miller. I mean, he was the difference of that game. And it's very, if you're a Bills fan, that's got to be an awesome feeling. The one piece that you felt like you were missing, you added it in the offseason and in the game where it matters most, because I know it's regular season, but that could decide, you know, that playoff game, who's playing at home. And if you're the Bills and you're thinking about having to go play an Arrowhead, you can see them running away with it potentially, where it's going to be a lot harder for the Bills to come in there. But now there's a good chance the Chiefs are going to have to go over to the Bills for that home game advantage in the playoffs. And that's a huge difference. And you nailed it with Von Miller. That's the piece that they saw they needed. If they're going to find a way to beat the Chiefs, they're going to have to get pressure on Mahomes. He's still going to make you hurt, like you said. But if you can just consistently get enough pressure, you might force an interception, or in this case, force 2 interceptions. Because that defense, you look at the Bills, they were dropping everyone back the entire game. They were really not too worried about the run game, and pretty much the same defense the entire way out, just dropping everyone back over and over again, and just hoping that Mahomes' magic runs out on 1 or 2 throws. And sure enough, Von Miller gets the pressure, and that's game. The interception, that's game. It was just a perfect ending if you're a Bills fan.
Spot on. And what's interesting is it's National Tight Ends Day, and Mahomes is going to face another top defense in the 49ers if they're healthy. And I have a little fun segment for you and our audience in a little bit, since this is a wrestling show. So I'll get to that in a minute or two. But with the 49er game, the rematch of the Super Bowl, can Kelsey go dominate? Who's going to guard Kelsey? And on the 49er side, does Kittle need to do things anymore? Does Ayuk need to do anything?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Wilson? Is it Juice? Is it Jennings? Is it Debo? Is it Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Man.
Christian McCaffrey. That is going to be a fun team to watch. It's going to be great for me because I got Kittle on my fantasy points. So I saw they're getting McCaffrey in the mix. I'm like, oh, that play action is going to be so much sweeter. He's got the Kittle shirt on. If you're not watching the stream, it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Discord. Haas is rocking the Kittle shirt. I love to see it. But the 49ers with Jimmy G, it's Trey Lance would happen. Obviously, that's horrible. You never want a guy like that to just be down and out of it right away. But you'd be lying to yourself if you said that their chances for a Super Bowl run probably got a little bit better putting Jimmy G back in there. Not saying Trey Lance could never be Jimmy G. That's a development year, I think, for him.
It's hard. So Jimmy G is a game manager that likes to throw some questionable throws. So
yeah.
I've watched him play a lot. I've watched every 49er game since I was in my teens, actually. And when I watch Jimmy G, he's at his best when he hands the ball off and he lets the running backs do their thing. And I think one of my concerns with Jimmy G you have all these weapons. Shanahan's going to need some extra dry erase markers with all the plays he's going to just keep drawing up at home. Just being like, jet sweep left.
Yeah, absolutely.
McCaffrey go this way. Juice do this. So he's going to have all these ideas. And unfortunately, I can see Jimmy G missing the player by 4 yards. So is Andrew Luck still available? Can we get another Stanford Cardinal on the 49ers? That would be my one thought. And then that could be DP just giving him a call and trying to get him out of retirement. But I'm very happy that Jimmy G was there. He's a great backup quarterback. Offensively, you can't double anyone on the 49ers if their line is healthy. And now they're bringing back Trent Williams, and now their right tackle, who was out for the Falcons game, he's back. So if their players can stay healthy, this offense is going to be a lot of fun to watch. But look, it's to have 2,000-yard receivers with 5+ rushing touchdowns. So McCaffrey and Debo on the same team, that's a lot of talent. And so to have that, if you have, I know you said Trey's developing. If Trey was there, maybe you would hit up Tom Osborne and you would do a triple option offense, because there's no way you could stop that team.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I mean with Trey Lance. You surprised me a little bit. I thought you'd be more. Maybe you've watched Jimmy G long enough to where some of those headache throws have gotten to you. But at the same time, Trey Lance, he really didn't have a ton of real game reps, even coming out of college. He was. I mean, those are really his first reps in a long time at that position in terms of him running a team. And it's an NFL team that he's kind of first year in. It's a lot for that guy to take on. Like I said, he didn't really play that much. He was on the sideline forever, and his college career got cut short as well. So that's why I was like, even if Jimmy G has those head scratching throws, it's going to be an upgrade. Unless Trey Lance is one of those phenomenal quarterbacks that just puts it together in 1 year, which is really rare to see.
I mean, it has happened, obviously. And what I was hoping was Trey Lance was the QB, and the Niners would go 5-5 or 4-4 with 7 teams being able to make the playoffs. If he was able to get all those reps during the season, I thought this was the year. But hey, injuries happen. It's really hard to lose your starting quarterback, and to bring in McCaffrey, it just means that the 49ers really believe that this is their year. They believe that the NFC is wide open. And so I know a lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people have anointed a certain team as the team to beat. Harrison, let me put you on the spot. Who's the team to beat in the NFC?
In the NFC right now, it's weird to say, but you're probably still looking. I never thought I'd say this year, but I mean, Eagles or Cowboys. I mean, that's kind of what the Rams don't look good this year. They haven't really been able to put it together. It's all those pieces they lost are hurting them a lot more than they realized. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers haven't impressed me yet at all so far. NFC North is it's limping. Vikings are 5-1, but I don't know if anyone out there really believes in the Vikings. I mean, they barely scraped away against the Bears, which I thought was a really bad team, who's still a bad team in my opinion. I mean, you're really looking at the Eagles, the Cowboys, maybe the Giants if you're feeling frisky. If you think that, Danny Dimes can somehow get it done with that running back room with Saquon, the NFC looks more open than it has in the past. So I don't think it's a stretch to say 49ers have a real shot. Although they're not my favorite, I'd probably stick with somewhere along the Eagles or Cowboys. 49ers aren't far behind.
Well, knowing that this week for the wrestling show, it was supposed to be DP giving his greatest moments of all time in wrestling, but DP obviously being sick. This week's show is going to be the greatest wrestling factions of all time when we come back from break. So knowing that we're going to talk about the greatest wrestling factions of all time, I have a counter to what you said. I believe the 49ers are like the NWO, brother. I really believe they're like the NWO. So let me tell you something. First things first, Harrison. Now all you 93.7 Ticketites know that the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFC East are a bunch of jabronis. Everywhere I go and everyone I talk to, all I hear is about how great the Philadelphia Eagles are, and it makes me sick to my stomach, brother, since they can't carry my belt. Now listen, they're going to be the number 1 seed in the playoffs, brother, but they don't want any part of me and my crew from Santa Clara. And you know something, brother, losing to billionaire Ted, his hometown team, the Atlanta Falcons, that was a kick to the gut. But just on the defensive side alone, the San Francisco 49ers were without the outsiders, Bosa and Ebukam, Hot Rod Armstead, the giant Kinlaw. They were all out. Vincent's cousin, Alzire, Big Papa Pump, and Scott Norton. Ward and Verrett were also out. And look, Harrison, even Bischoff's club guy, Ward, the Stinger, Mosley, and Mr. Perfect himself, Hufanga, were all injured.
Did you hear that? The voice acting was spot on, but the points you brought up were as well. That was a beat up team for a while there. But yeah, if they can get healthy and keep that energy that you just brought, the sky's the limit for that team. They still got a real shot to get things done this season.
Let's get something straight, all you Hossamaniacs. The Yak Boys and those Punishers on defense from San Francisco will ultimately eat their vitamins and come back healthy. And the Eagles and any other overhyped team from the NFC East is going to have more than 19 problems, because when they face the Niners in the playoffs, they're going to get destroyed. Now, Harrison, look into my eyes, brother. Look into my eyes. The Niners will destroy everyone, and the league is going to be shaking in the boots knowing that the Niners just traded for Christian McCaffrey, brother. And one last thing, Harrison. One last thing. What you gonna do when Kittle, Ayuk, Jennings, Juszczyk, Jimmy G, McCaffrey, and Debo run wild over you?
I hope it happens today, because like I said, we got the Chiefs today. If you're a 49ers fan, you better hope that you have that energy, because you're going to have to go against Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, and the rest of the crew, and that's going to be a matchup. With that being said, though, let's get to our first break. We'll keep this thing going here, maybe getting a little more wrestling talk. As we said, we got Haas here. That's kind of his bread and butter, along with some 49ers talk, but that's all coming up next right here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Tractor Supply is looking for full-time team members for their Waverly Distribution Center. Tractor Supply has a new progressive pay model where team members receive 5 wage increases in the first 2 years of employment, with the ability to earn up to $24 per hour. Applicants can expect a 3- and 4-day work week schedule with additional overtime days, with both day and night shifts. At Tractor Supply, they work hard, have fun, and make money. Apply today at tractorsupply.jobs.
We're still as busy as we've ever been. Across the country, you may see a small slowdown, but in Lincoln, Nebraska, we're not slowing down.
Bob Benish is the founder and president of Aspen Builders, online at aspenbuildersinc.com.
Our Southwest Lincoln development is just going great as we keep growing in Southwest Lincoln. Down the road, we'll have a new school, so that's exciting. We also have a new development out in East Lincoln over by Hillcrest Country Club. Just a real neat subdivision because it features trees, great views. If you're concerned about interest rates, many lenders in town offer extended lock periods. So it's worth contacting a lender and asking them about an extended lock. That's a big deal.
Make your dream home a reality and call Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at aspenbuildersinc.com. Your home is waiting at Aspen Builders.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, you hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah,
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Don't you wish your life came with a warning app?
Stop. That dog does not want to be petted.
A heads up before something bad happens.
You should not send that text.
Uh-oh. Life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can reverse prediabetes and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into The Breeze. I am Harrison Arns, not DP, but of course we have the host. The name of the show is obviously his. Haas is here with us. Not actually with us. He's streaming in from across, but nonetheless, he's always here every Sunday at this time slot, 12 o'clock to 1. If you guys have any comments, you want to chime in here, we're going to kind of switch it up here, maybe go a little bit of wrestling, MLB, or anywhere for that matter. It's kind of a Sunday, so we're free to talk about what we want, but hit up the Starter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685, or if you want to call in at the Honda of Lincoln hotline, same number, 402-464-5685. And then, Haas, I'll kind of open it up with you. I know you're a big wrestler guy, so I kind of want to, tap into your brain a little bit about the guys in my era. When I was growing up watching them, these were the wrestlers. And there's one that I don't know if I'm going to get hate for this, but I was a huge Rey Mysterio fan. I loved Rey Mysterio. I don't know why, but for some reason, just a small guy out there, he'd have the one signature trick through the ropes where he'd swing in there, set him up against the ropes, come back. It was always one of my favorite wrestlers. Where does he necessarily rank for you?
Ooh. So obviously from a smaller wrestler guy, he's
small
at the top.
dude.
He's been there for so long. He just had his 20-year anniversary. It's pretty cool that he and his son are in storylines together, though they just separated them because they didn't want the dad, or he didn't want to beat up his son in the storyline. I really do like what Dominic is doing right now. Without the Judgment Day, Dominic he probably wouldn't be where he is at. And we talked about Rhea Ripley before and just her influence on the team there and the faction there. It's interesting, as the topic of the day is greatest factions of all time. If DP was here, he would be like, hey, why didn't you put the Judgment Day on there? Well, they haven't won belts yet, so it's kind of hard to put them there, but the future for them is pretty bright if they could keep doing what they're doing. I kind of want to see them grow. I like factions that grow in size and just dominate. And so if I say that, there's probably a preview of a faction that I think is the greatest faction of all time. Normally we would go and say, hey, this is the Mount Rushmore, this is the top 10. But for this week, I thought it would be cool to make an NCAA type bracket and make 4 different regions and go 1 through 4 in each region, and then see who ends up on top. So love to get some help from listeners to see what they think, but I could just go start with these 4 real quick. We have the NWO as a 1 seed, the Hart Foundation as a 4 seed, the 4 Horsemen as a 2 seed, and there's a somewhat of a relation there with the Main Event Mafia as the 3 seed. Now, Main Event Mafia is someone that might be forgotten about, but they had some pretty cool WCW guys in there, so I kept that bracket together. So NWO versus Hart Foundation, 4 Horsemen versus Main Event Mafia. Obviously, the NWO. No, well, right now, just keeping those 4 together.
Okay.
Gotcha. You said Evolution?
Yep.
Well, we could go to this side of my bracket. Since this is radio, we don't have the visuals, but I have.
If you're watching the stream, you can kind of see it somewhat.
I have DX. I could do this.
An actual spreadsheet set out. That's awesome.
I have DX against the Nation, because the Nation, they dominated. And then I have, so DX is the 1, the Nation is the 4, Evolution is the 2, and since it's my show, I can do what I want. I put the Authority and the Corporation together as the 3. So separately, together, the Authority and the Corporation as the 3. So those are 2 of our older brackets. Do you want me to keep going to tell everyone what each region is? That's a tongue twister. Or do you want to just stay with those regions?
No, you can go for it. I'll kind of let you go. I'm looking at some of these right now, trying to re-jog my memory. And then you had the 4 Horsemen. That was a 1 seed for you?
So for how it's aligned, they are a 2 seed.
Okay.
And so from the diagram that you have, it's a 1, 4, 2, 3 for each region. So for the newer group, it's the Bloodline and the New Day. So the Bloodline's the 1, the New Day is the 4, against the Shield being a 2 and the Wyatt family being a 3.
The Wyatt family is one I don't even, that one is, I feel like that one's not really talked about a whole lot. Or am I wrong on that one?
So right now, with Bray Wyatt coming back to WWE, if it's handled correctly, and DP hates how they use Bray Wyatt in The Fiend, but it's a very anticipated return by a lot of fans, and the Wyatt family was quite successful. They didn't have a lot of belts, and so if belts are what makes you important, then unfortunately they didn't have a lot of belts, but they had a lot of domination, and they had some really big 7-footers that just beat up everyone. So Braun Strowman was a part of that group. And I don't know if you've seen clips of him on YouTube, but he just lifts up semis and just tips them over because he's Braun Strowman and he's a very big guy. The last one, since we talk about WWE so much, thought I'd give some respect to some non-WWE guys. So the Bullet Club being the 1 seed, Aces and Eights, some of DP's friends there because he's boys with the Dudley Boys. That's the 4 seed there. the inner circle against the elite, inner circle being 2 and the elite being 3. So giving all these different groups some respect. It's a lot of factions. And how much chalk do we go? How much do we go with the 1 seeds winning out? It's pretty simple to know that who are the top 2. But let's just see if there were any upsets. So NWO versus Heart Foundation. NWO, I'm sorry, they controlled the Monday Night Wars, and they had all of WCW by themselves. So they win that one. The 4 Horsemen, got to give Ric Flair and Arn Anderson and all those guys respect. So they beat the Main Event Mafia in my bracket. So NWO, 4 Horsemen, Hogan, Flair.
Yeah.
Outsiders.
That's a toss-up for me.
If DP was here, you'd give it to the Horsemen, but NWO, baby. NWO wins that region. Move on to the Final 4.
You didn't have the Fabulous Freebirds in there, huh?
No, I did not. It was hard for me to put groups that I didn't watch. So
they were in WWE, UWF, WCCW. They were in they were very much everywhere.
Yeah, I almost wanted to put the Radicals in there just because there's 4 WCW guys that Dean Malenko and Benoit and Perry Saturn were in that group, and but they're just not as good as the Main Event Mafia. Main Event Mafia would roll up and just they had a bunch of belts, and Booker T and Kurt Angle and Big Papa Pump, Sting. Yep. So that's too good of a group. So I respectfully kept them in that group. So NWO winning that region. Who wins the DX region? So DX versus the Nation, Triple H versus The Rock. I mean, everyone knows DX.
Yep.
25th anniversary. So DX wins that one. Some more Triple H groups. Evolution.
Yeah, that's the one that I feel like I know the best. Evolution. Yeah. They got to take the cake on that one for sure.
And they should. They really should. I mean, having the man Ric Flair as the manager or the leader of the group, but I just thought the Authority and Corporation put together was just way too many people. So they get the upset. Finally got a 3-seed.
The upset.
Oh yeah, got a 3-seed. Got a 3-seed moving on. Evolution.
I might disagree with you on that one. I don't know about that one. He's going thumbs down on the stream, but I might disagree. Text line, help me out on that one. Sorry, Haven text line 402-464-5685. I feel like that one might be some slight disrespect.
I mean, you got so many champions there. You got a 16-time champion, and I believe a 14-time. I don't know what Triple H ended up at. He was at least 13-time champion, and then Batista with all the things that he did. And yeah, it was hard. Evolution could have been number 3 or 4 seed overall.
Yeah. I just really like that one. I don't know. That one's a little different. All right. We got about 2.5 more minutes till we got to get to our next break here. How's the rest of it shaking out for you?
So then keeping with the Triple H bracket, DX against the Authority and Corporation. The Authority and Corporation, you had Triple H, had Stephanie, had Vince, had Shane, had The Rock. I think I had Ken Shamrock, Kane. There's so many people. Seth Rollins was in there. DX is DX. DX wins that.
Yep.
So in a non-shocking theme, NWO and DX so far are 2 of the Final 4s. When we're talking about greatest factions of all time, it's hard to argue against them.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, before we get to our break here, we got the top 4. Who do we got sitting in there right now?
So do you want me to fly through the other bracket real quick?
Yeah, just because for time reasons.
Sure. So the Bullet Club against Aces and Eights. As much as I love Aces and Eights, there's too many people in the Bullet Club. And if you count all their members, Bullet Club advances. Inner Circle versus the Elite. AEW getting some respect. Elite gets to advance, but they do lose to the Bullet Club. So Bullet Club is a Final 4 member against DX. Yep. And then over on the last side, it's the Bloodline versus the New Day. having the Usos and the New Day again, it's a big rivalry, but the tribal chief comes in and the Bloodline wins that one very easily. Shield Wyatt family was a rivalry for many years, but the Shield wins that one. So then now here's a very difficult one, and I'll let others influence me on this one. The Bloodline versus the Shield. Who should win that? And let's talk about that after the break. The
All right,
Bloodline
perfect.
versus the Shield.
Heard it here first. We're going to decide that Bloodline versus the Shield, trying to figure out these rankings on this playoff bracket. We'll do that on the breeze right here on 93.7 The Ticket right after this break.
How's Wingstop sound? Crispy, juicy, classic wings. Made to order, cooked to perfection. And sauced and tossed in those 11 soul-satisfying flavors. Paired with hand-cut seasoned fries, house-made honey mustard, blue cheese, or signature Wingstop ranch. And of course, spicy Cajun fried corn. I think you've heard enough. Get your flavor delivered at wingstop.com.
Mary Ellen Food for the Soul and Gato Comedy Syndicate present Big Comedy Energy November 11th and 12th, featuring headliner Corbin LeMaster.
If you don't know, cultural appropriation is like if you're not black, you can't have cornrows. If you're not Asian, you can't use chopsticks. If you're white, you can't score a touchdown.
4 shows November 11th and 12th at 7 and 9:30, and Mary Ellen's at 27th and Pine Lake. Tickets are $15 in advance or $25 at the door. For more information, find the event on the Mary Ellen's page on Facebook.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 330 North 48th Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. That's doihaveprediabetes.org.
Wait, did they just say 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes? That's 33.3333% of adults. That means it could be me, my boss, or my boss's boss, or me, my favorite sister, or my other sister. That's 7 members of my 21-person romantic book club. Wait, the 1 in 3 could be me, my karaoke partner Carol, or my karaoke enemy Jeff. I'm going to take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adoptive mom. She said sometimes you just gotta hold on and know we'll get through this. Mom, we are so high up. Hold my hand.
No, hold my hand.
Here we go.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey, we're pretty good.
yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action. Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey. Better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Breeze with DP and Haas on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back into The Breeze. I am Harrison, obviously here with Haas, who's got a new wardrobe on for me. I just looked up at the stream, and Haas is debuting a new mask for us. I'm sure he'll tell us exactly who that is. But like I said, we got texters are open, so I'd hit the Starter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685, as we kind of tie up wrestling. Then we'll go into some picks as well, the Haas Boss Guarantee picks. We'll do that all here on this last segment at 93.7 The Ticket. So, Haas, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, if you guys missed it earlier, you said, hey, where do you rank Rey Mysterio all time?
I love the mask, man.
just had to bust out the Rey Mysterio mask. The segments with Eddie Guerrero and Who's Your Poppy and the stuff in WCW, just got to show the respect.
Is that a one as well?
Yeah.
It's Rey Mysterio mask. I had a closer look.
Yep. Yes, it is. Oh, man. So let me take this off. But while I do that, before the break, it's figuring out, is it the bloodline or the Shield? Is it the bloodline or the Shield? And so that's the hard part.
Yeah, that's kind of where we ended up on. And you yourself looked a little stressed on making that decision.
Yeah, because if we did a bracket by actual rankings, that's probably number 3 and number 4. So it's a very hard decision, but just the bloodline having the belts for so long and having so many belts, they get the win. And it's so hard. DT would be like, come on, man. Seth Rollins, Seth Rollins being who he is and the architect and Ambrose.
I'm sure they're at home right now.
It's like, come on, how much they dominated. They are the greatest faction, not the NWO, not DX, not the Bloodline, not Bullet Club. And you have them losing. You don't even have them in the final 4. Yeah, sorry. Bloodline's too hot. You gotta advance them to the final 4.
So Bloodline advances, the Shields, they're out.
They're out. So Bloodline, NWO, gotta continue with the theme of the day, the New World Order, San Francisco 49ers, as we talked about earlier. Well, the New World Order, NWO, just spray paints over the Bloodline, and they win that Final Four matchup.
Was that
And
close to you, or was that pretty easy?
It's pretty easy. You got so many NWOs. You got NWO White, NWO Red, Latino NWO.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like 65 guys in NWO. So NWO wins that one. And then DX Bullet Club. Too Sweet and all that. Sorry, DX wins that. So the classic NWO DX rivalry. Last week we talked about DX invading with the tank, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
But if you take everyone in NWO and the 4, 5, 6 guys that were part of DX, NWO would win. So NWO, greatest faction of all time.
Maybe a little biased out there.
I'm a DX guy. I'm actually a DX guy. Okay. No, Triple H is my favorite wrestler. I'm a DX guy, but
just hard to argue with the numbers on that one.
It's just all the things that they did and the way I wish WCW didn't overuse it, because that's kind of what the problem was. They just shoved it down our throats way too much. But if there's just so much that was built with it, and it was very exciting to go and see what NWO was going to do next.
Absolutely. So there you kind of have it. There is Haas's bracket. If you guys want to catch that, definitely listen to the podcast. We'll have that up here shortly. You can go to theticketfm.com and kind of catch on the bracket, and Haas broke it down in a very astute way. You got to learn a lot about pretty much every faction out there and how we rank them. So definitely be sure to check out the podcast. And we're going to kind of switch it up here. We got about 4 minutes left. We're going to do the Haas Boss guarantee picks. So I'll let you kind of pick the first one here, and then maybe give a short explanation, a minute or two explanation as to why you think that's a guarantee.
Before we do that, I really loved what you did talking about Nebraska and all that. Is there anything else you want to talk about with Nebraska that we should listen to?
We can swing it to the text lines. Earlier on in the show, we had Ed chime in. He said, everything I hear said Raiola had interest in Nebraska and Frost screwed it up. If Mickey can flip him and get a new line, give the man a job. Honestly, with that one, if he's referring to Donovan Raiola, he has the job. I think he's referring to the Raiola kid that we lost in that transfer portal, who was a big deal for us. We thought maybe if we get Donovan Raiola, we'll get the kid who's, I think he's a 4-star O-line right now, so we whiffed on him. Once again, he's just kind of going back to, we got Donovan Raiola here, who used to be the offensive line coach for the Chicago Bears last year. And if you watch the Bears games last year, I don't know if that necessarily make you excited. That's kind of what went off in my head. A lot of people got excited because they saw the name and the connections, which makes sense. But I watched the Bears are my team, and I watched them all of last year. And my God, I wasn't necessarily excited when we got him. So yeah, with Nebraska football, that's kind of where I'm at with the team. It's, if you're going to play in the Big Ten, you will never win the Big Ten West or the Big Ten East for that matter, if you don't have a solid offensive line or an at least average defensive line that you can work around. The offensive line has to be good. Can't be average, has to be good. Defensive line, you can maybe get away with average. I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on it. What are you thinking?
I'm always all about the trenches. That's what I'm watching when I watch football games. So if we go back to the 49ers, they were missing 2 left tackles and a right tackle, and then they're missing their whole defensive line. So that's why they lost to the Falcons. So the way the Niners play defense, they have 8 to 10 guys that can play defensive line. And because of that, they don't blitz. So their line gets the quarterback, and they have 7 in coverage. And so a D line, to me, with how quarterbacks are, if a quarterback has less than 2 seconds to throw the ball, that makes a major difference. And the other way to give the quarterback more time is to have a great offensive line. So the game starts in the trenches, and you're spot on. And Justin Fields, if I could lay down here and lay on my back, then that's what the Bears looked like last year.
Yeah, it was so bad. And being a Bears fan, it just gets worse. I watched Justin Fields out there, and I'm like, man, even if he starts to find his groove, he still just doesn't have a ton of time in there in general. If I'm the Bears, I am running a bootleg on about every pass play. I don't want him standing in the pocket, because his most effective throws are him getting outside the pocket and buying himself a little more time, because he's such a freak athlete. We saw in that last game when they lost, he had that huge run towards the end of the game. And then obviously Commanders offense was horrible. So that was enough. All they had to do was score within 5 yards, 2 drop passes in the end zone. Like it's the O-line, it's the receivers, a lot of problem for the Bears. And unfortunately with the Huskers, I'm seeing better skill players, but the trenches, like you said, when you watch football, the best way to gauge a team on how good they are is watch the trenches. Because if the trenches fall apart, you're not going to see that team win consistently.
Right on.
With that being said, though, we got a minute here, so let's go ahead and get to our picks.
So Haas Boss guarantee of the week: battle of 1-win teams. Raiders Texans. Raiders Texans. I think the Raiders. I guarantee that the Raiders will win and come back to the pack because they're still a playoff team. They were a playoff team last year. They had Devontae Adams. They have a lot of skill. They just had a rough start. Bye weeks help. They're going to come back. I guarantee they're going to win this week.
I like it. I like that mindset. That one's not too egregious. I thought you were going to throw something egregious at me. I can buy into that one. My pick right now, I'm gonna do a pick that's a spread. So the spread right now for the Bears Patriots is 39.5. I'm telling you right now to hammer the under. That game is not going to get to 40 points. The Bears will be lucky to put up past 12 with the way their offense is playing. And Bill Belichick, he's just going to want to keep the game management. He doesn't have a guy out there where they're going to be throwing bombs all the time. But it's going to be a very slow-moving game. It's going to look like a Thursday night football game almost, with maybe a sprinkle more offense. But it's not going to be too crazy. That's kind of where I'm sitting.
Love it. And eventually we're starting to hear the quarterback controversy, despite Mac Jones being the savior and bringing the Patriots to the playoffs. I don't know if it's a power play or not. I don't know if there's any disrespect or anything going towards Belichick. So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, that quarterback battle is getting a little interesting. You got Zappy in there. The last name sells itself. Mac Jones, he's been a little shaky off the start. Knowing Bill Belichick, he's not going to give a damn about your feelings. He's going to play the guy who he thinks needs to play. With that being said,
Zappy hour, baby.
It's the Zappy hour. That's it for us, though. Thank you to Haas for joining us as always. He's consistent every Sunday, bringing us some great content. That's going to be everything for us, though. The Breeze, 93.7 The Ticket. We will see you guys next week.